All right, we are recording and I've still got, great, thanks, Chris. I was gonna say, I still got some feedback. Welcome, everybody. It's our Tuesday night call. It's our turn up the heat time. So that means it's typically our smaller team because on the first and the third Tuesdays of the month, we do it with the entire heat team. And on the second, fourth, and if there's a fifth, we do it with just what we call our NMD open, all of you that are not under another NMD. And I think everybody on this call knows me, so I'm not even gonna bother to tell you anything about myself because we want to get right into the call tonight. And I'm really excited about the call. And I want to tell you how the call came to happen is I overheard Brittany talking with somebody that she was enrolling in a program, which I'll tell you about that in a second. And she had been talking to this gentleman for about 2 years. If I get something wrong, Brittany, just don't correct me. So she'd been talking to him for a while. And what I heard him say is, I can't believe that you have been talking to me for 2 years about joining this course. And I've never felt like you sold me anything. You know, how do you do that? And when I heard that, I thought, wow, isn't it what we all aspire to do here? We feel like we want to share and gift our product, but we also want to do really good follow-up. And so I thought, who better than to have Brittany share that a little bit with us tonight. So just so you know, so I got her, besides the fact that she is my daughter, so this is, what's it called when it's nepotism. There is a little bit of nepotism going on. Thanks, Chris. I would have struggled trying to get that word. And, but so I want to get some of her, just her titles correct. And then I want to just say a few other things. She is an executive and leadership coach, which means that she is actually coaching executives, Fortune 500, startup companies, groups of people that are really wanting to move their lives or their business to another level, to a better place. I hope I'm saying this right. And she's also the program leader trainer with Accomplishment Coaching. And for them, she's the chief registration officer. And so how this conversation came to happen with Brittany is that she is talking to people to let them know about the course that this company, Accomplishment Coaching, offers. It's a year-long course for people who want to be professional coaches and really do a great job. It's $18,000. So it's a big deal to enroll people. And she has enrolled more than any other of the Accomplishment Coaching enrollers, I think, than anybody has ever done. So clearly follow-up, yeah, I know, I'm real proud of her, but clearly follow-up is a key here and knowing how to talk to people and communicate to people. So for a start, Britt, would you be, oh, I'm gonna highlight you instead of spotlight for everybody. And I think I'm gonna even spotlight me. So we're both here. Whoa, there's both of us. So Brittany, can you first, before we began, you know, Brittany and her sister Chelsea started Juice Plus when they were 4 and 7. Brittany was 4. And so just share how you would to anybody. What is your Juice Plus story, Britt?
Well, other than being incredibly proud of myself that I was able to take the capsules before my older sister was, my Juice Plus my Juice Plus story is having the experience of, I remember when we were little and it would be pretty normal to get strep throat or something every once in a while, probably a couple times a year, and then taking Juice Plus and basically never getting sick, to the point that, and this is a little embarrassing, when I was in college, I called my mom and literally asked her, how do you blow your nose? Because I hadn't been sick in so long and I didn't have allergies that I was noticing that people in my classes had like all these really cool ways of blowing their nose, which I never had to learn because I was never sick. So my experience of Juice Plus has been prestigiously more healthy than anyone around me, whether that was from kindergarten to Santa Barbara, UCSB, where, you know, a lot of people aren't taking good care of themselves.
Yeah, so that was really funny to me to say, you know what, how do you blow a nose? I'm thinking, what? This is like one of the smartest people I know, and she doesn't know how to blow her nose. How did I fail her? So, so if you would like, tell us a little bit, Brittany, about like what you do, just in general, what your coaching looks like, just maybe a minute or two so people can have a sense of who you're coaching and why you would even be legitimately on this call to share your experience around that and to be able to teach us.
Yeah. So, in the most basic sense, I work with people to ensure that their thinking and behaviors are conducive to whatever that they want, whether that's their individual life or when I go into a company or corporation, I'm working with them to ensure that their culture is actually what they want it to be. So, I have kind of two different coaching lives. On the one hand, I train and coach coaches. So, other coaches hire me to coach them in their life and on their coaching. And I also work with C-suites and executives in major companies, Live Nation, Facebook, Lyft, Microsoft.
The next question is, in this conversation that you had with this guy who said, I never felt like you were selling me something. First of all, how many times, like when you're doing follow-up and you get a new person that looks like a prospect that may want to do this course, how many times do you follow up with them? And does it depend on who you're talking to? What does that look like?
It's really all based on how the conversation is going. I really, really check in with people throughout it. Hey, you've told me that you're interested in this, so we're going to have a conversation today. At the end of today, I'm going to recheck in with you and see where you are. And if you don't want to talk again for a while, no problem. If you don't want to talk again, no problem. Or if you want me to reach back out, but I'm constantly in partnership with people about who they need me to be for them within this desire that they have. So the first thing that I always do is get really clear that they are clear that there's actually a desire here, because I'm going to be doing a lot of work and a lot of convincing if they're not already a yes. So I really make sure with people that they're a yes, even if there's circumstances in the way, even if they're scared, but really clear that they're a yes before we even start getting in relationship about what's next. Oh, you're on mute again, Mom.
So when you say they're in a yes, they doesn't necessarily mean they're saying yes to take the course, but they're in yes that they have a need, just like they might have a need for Juice Plus. They say, I get headaches or I get this. You're searching for what their need is to see if there's a match.
Yeah, whether it's hiring me or doing the program, it's clear that they see something for themselves in this conversation, right? It's so little as, I think I maybe might want to be a coach. Great. There's something here for them that has them be in possibility in talking to me or in hiring me. I know that there's something in my life I want to change. And the importance of that is it totally shifts our relationship. If you notice that when you're talking to people and you feel like you're doing a lot of work, it's probably because they're not clear that they're a yes in some way yet. So that is key. Even if it's that I want to know more, that's enough of a yes to start building the relationship around how we're going to work together around whatever they want. But if that's not clear, I'm doing a lot of work to get, find out what they want, find out if they even want to talk to me, figure out the best way to talk to them.
Okay. So, and by the way, we'll end up a few minutes early. So if any of you have any questions specifically to what Brittany is talking about in relationship to Juice Plus, jot down some questions now, or even put it in the chat, because, as we're talking, something may come up for you that strikes you. It's a little bit different what Brittany's doing, but the follow-up is the same. So let's just assume that you're getting a sense that it's in some way moving forward. They haven't said, no, never call me again. And if they do say no, is it a no forever? When somebody says, no, I'm not interested, where does that land for you? What do you do next?
I trust them. If someone says, no, they're not interested, great. Do you want me to check back in a couple months to see where you are? Or should we, figure that we may never talk again, right? But I actually just get very clear and communicative with them. Hey, there's three things I do when I get off the phone with people, or three things that I ask is just based on wherever they are, hiring me, Juice Plus program, whatever it is. I ask them, hey, so it's really going to support me in supporting you and getting clear on where you are. So I'm about to ask you if you're a no thanks. And is that no thanks, a no thanks forever, or just a not now? Are you a full yes, you're ready to sign up, you're ready to go, and this is totally for you, right? Whether that's Juice Plus or program or coaching. Or are you a yes, but? Meaning that there's something here for you. You know that there's something you're interested in, but there's just some stuff in the way. So I have them get really clear with that, because then we know as a team together, me and that person, what our follow-up is going to look like.
I love those three things. Hopefully somebody's written them down, and if somebody can write it in the chat, those three things, I thought those were really great, just in terms of having an overview of what you're going for. The other thing, Brittany, that I really like that you said is the part where you said, Is this a thank you or thank you, but don't call me? I can't remember your exact verbiage, but you actually gave them a choice. Thanks, but don't call again. It's like, or don't call again, whatever. It's like naming the elephant in the room rather than being afraid to say, if you don't want me to call, it's okay.
Mhm.
You know, I love that you actually say that in
Yeah.
really great verbiage.
I think the thing where people stumble the most in their follow-up or in building their business, whatever their business is being in partnership with the person around what's next. It's so much easier. It's so much more fun. There's so much more connection if you're in partnership around it, right? Whether that partnership is no thanks, you know, maybe in 6 months. Great. So in 6 months, I can call you and I'll remind you of this conversation and we can start here. Yes, totally. Or it's great. So you're a yes, but you really want to take Juice Plus, but you're afraid of spending the money. You don't really know how it's going to help you, but you do think you want to talk to me again. Yes. Okay, great. When should I follow up with you again? Like I really partner with people and make it all out in the open that we're on a team about what's going to happen next.
And that attitude of collaboration has to change the energy of all the calls.
Yeah, it
Right?
does. And that's really the underlying thing, because you could say any of these any which way. And the number one thing that people constantly tell me about being in enrollment conversations with me is that I'm not attached. And I am so not. That to me is the secret of enrollment or res sales, whatever word you want to use. You cannot be attached to whatever the outcome is. And part of not being attached is really being with the possibility that not everyone has to say yes. That it's okay if someone doesn't want to say yes to you. Doesn't mean anything about you or that person, and just knowing, okay. And a part of being able to be that open and unattached is acknowledging that there's 7 billion of us, right? You don't need every person to say yes to you.
So is that the underlying way that you got, because we talk a lot about being unattached. Our team talks about it all the time, be detached from the outcome. And yet that's in our head. And so sometimes that's in our head, but that's not what we embody. We still embody feeling yucky or feeling like we got kicked when somebody says no. How is there a way? I love that. It says, oh my God, this is so key, from Lisa Bartlett. Thanks, Lisa. Actually, I'm not thanking you. It's really Brittany. But how, it's one thing to say I'm not attached. It's another to honestly feel unattached. And one thing you said is, well, there's 7 billion of us, but what are some of the keys? I'm sure when you first started out, you still were a little attached, wanting, oh, I really want this guy to do it. He should do it. It would change his life. And he says no. And you feel bad. Either you think you did something wrong or whatever. How do you get to the place? Is there some techniques? Is there some way you get to be really detached from the outcome and still go for the outcome you hope?
A couple things. One is, if you only have 3 people to talk to, you're going to be a whole lot different than if you have 100 people to talk to, right? So a key action is to actually really support yourself by having many people to bring this conversation to. And look, there's going to be times where that list is empty again. That's okay. But really like doing the work to know that have enough people to talk to so that each conversation you don't make mean a lot. That's when people feel weird. That's when sales feel salesy, right? When they know that you need them to do something. That's where relationship gets messed up, right? That's where people are like, well, you just want me to do this to grow your business or whatever it is. Probably because they are picking up on something, because you actually really want them to say yes. So the first is really ensuring and shoring up your pipeline, right? Of all the people you want to talk to and can talk to. The next piece, and this is really an internal piece for you to work on, is trust. Like, I really trust that it's okay if someone doesn't want to do the program, hire me, or do Juice Plus. I also really trust that when they're ready, they'll come back. My business is where it is because for the first 2 years, I got so many not nows, and I was willing to be with the not now in a way that then 6 months I could check in again. I can't tell you how many times I've been hired by people years later because I just kept being willing to check in. That check-in conversation is a little bit different, but to your question about being unattached, it's really about really trusting that if they're not going to be the person who's going to buy or hire you, there will be someone who will be. You don't need every person to hire you or buy Juice Plus. We want them to, and maybe, but
because
it's actually okay that they don't.
Yeah. So I'm going to just stop there for 1 second and see if anybody is just dying to ask something about not being attached to the outcome, because for them, it's really difficult. Maybe you could have a 2-minute coaching with Brittany. I just threw that out there. She's going to kill me. Anybody, if you do, unmute yourself and say, I have a question.
Nikki, this is Patty.
Okay.
We've read that book, Go for the No, but I love the Go for the Not Now, because that's really it. Like we say, maybe no now, but it's not no forever.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Great. Thank you. And I saw that somebody had a question. It says, when a potential customer is saying not interested, how about asking, oh, did I inform you enough to be curious enough to follow up with you? If not, are there any questions you have? That was just a comment, which is similar to what you said, right, Brittany?
Yeah, again, I think that points to just be in relationship with the person about what's next, right? People, and sometimes if, you get to the end of the conversation and they're like, okay, well, I need to talk to my husband, or I need to think about it, or I'm not really sure. I'm really honest with the person. I'm like, I totally got it. And is this a really great way for you to easily tell me a week from now over text that it's actually a no? Like, I am actually allow people for it to be really honest. And in that then serves the follow-up, because after we've broken up that ice where they know I'm not gonna just let them slide something by and it's gonna be okay, they can be totally honest. That's what continually builds the follow-up for them to someday be a yes. So I say all things about your intention in the open with them. Be a partner with them around what's next.
So what's great is we usually keep that part hidden, which is, I know you said you're gonna ask your husband, but really it's just a way to text me a week from now and say no, because you're afraid to say it now.
Yeah, and to be clear, I ask them that. I don't say, hey, I know that this is what's happening. It's right. It's really asking the question. Hey, just so you know, sometimes people say to me, they have to check in with someone, but then I get a text 2 days later that it's a no. Is this one of those times? And it is, if it is, it's okay. But I just lay it out on the table so that there's nothing happening behind the scenes. And I think when things are happening behind the scenes is when people feel not heard, not seen, or not taken care of. So they don't feel comfortable saying yes and taking that leap of spending the money on the quad or whatever the thing is that they're afraid to say yes to.
Okay.
Nikki, I have a question.
Yeah, go Lisa.
Okay, so that is amazing because I'm straightforward and I would love to do that. I haven't, because it's scary to do that. So what happens if they say, you're right, I am going to text you in a week and tell you no, because what we've been taught in Go for the Nose, and like Patty said, is unless they're dead, we are coming back to them. So what's your opinion of that? If they're like, yeah, I'm a no, whatever, they're not a no, but, or if they're telling you, what do you do with that?
I would just check in, like, totally got it. It's so fine with me if you are, but can I ask why? And are you open to sharing with me authentically about what's so for you? And then they share, and I repeat it back, right? I have a firm belief all people just want to be seen and heard. So I repeat it back. Oh, got it. You're afraid that blah, 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 blah. So you're really a no. I work with people and supporting them in no's, and actually seeing possibility where there isn't. Are you open to being supported in this no? And they either say yes or they say no. And if they say no, got it. Great. Thanks so much. Would it serve you for me to follow up with you a year, 6 months from now? And most people say yes because they think a year, 6 months from now, great, fine. But I leave with an agreement, and either someone will say no, and then I personally, if it's a no, I don't know that I do follow up with those people. Sometimes I do if I really felt a connection with them, but the follow up is really from, hey, we haven't spoken in a year. I just want to say hi and hope you're doing well. But I don't ask of anything from them. It's just it's a nice touch of relationship.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. That's awesome.
Any other questions? And if you do,
okay.
Yeah. Somebody's saying but they're not finishing their sentence. Who is that?
Hello. I didn't know I was muted or not. This is Regina Aliong. I have a question.
Regina. We see you.
Good. Okay. So in the past, I've had some issues with the follow-up. They're interested. they want to be called, I give them a call and we're playing, that game back and forth, trying to get the best time. So I have realized that when I say these words like respect and value, I respect your time and I know that you value my time. So I would rather have you tell me the best time to call you when you're available and you have less distractions. Because there's kids, there's things that they do, these young gals with their kids. And if they can give me that window of opportunity, like 4 o'clock or whatever, then I call them and start talking about what we were talking about previously and kind of ensure them that my time is valuable too, that I only have like 15 minutes. So it seems like it's like an urgency thing, like your husband talks about. I think he said that one time. It's almost like an urgency. So I only have 15 minutes. So I want to get them to say, yes, I'm interested. I want to know more so I can send them something. You know what I mean?
So,
I don't want it to be bounced back and forth trying to catch each other and what's the best time. And it could be a whole month and I finally get a hold of them and then they get distracted again because
so
they have young kids.
Regina, are you asking the question specifically, how do I compress time? Like, how do I make this happen without a million back and forths? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So, do you have an answer for that, Brittany? Is there something that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
First, I would actually share, hey, I have a suspicion that if you and I don't get on the phone this week, you and I might be playing phone tag for the next 2 months. Let's not do that. So one, I would just be really honest about that. And you don't have to say, let's not do that. It could be something else, right? But I might say, if you, Regina, get that feeling, oh, this is going to be one of those times where I'm going back and forth with someone, I would just call it like it is and not put it on them. Like, hey, sometimes I talk to people and we just end up going back and forth for so long and we really miss out on getting to connect and getting you somewhere sooner. I would love to actually create the time now so that we don't have to hold each other's energy, right? Depending on what you want to say to someone, and that feeling of, oh, I'm supposed to call her. Oh, I missed her call, right? That takes energy and people think about that and they feel guilty, right? So I would just call it out in that way. The other piece is, this really helps me with my business. I would totally assert this is going to be powerful in Juice Plus as well. And I'm sure many of you already do this, is, talking about Juice Plus is never really about Juice Plus, right? It's the possibility of what someone sees for themselves, either for their family, financially, or for their body, right? And so when I'm following up with people and I find that they're hard to get on the phone, I don't mention Juice Plus. I say, hey, you told me that your son can't play soccer because of his asthma. Like, how much longer are we gonna, wait to look about fixing this for him? I really talk about the thing that they're most interested in and the thing that's really calling to them in possibility. And that's the thing that I invite them in on. And I typically do it over voice text or voicemail, right? We all know that people can hear text messages differently. I don't know the viewpoint in this group of that, but if I'm going to say something that bold, I like to have them really hear my compassion, really hear my heart. Hey, you said that it would really mean a lot to you to make $100 more a month. I don't want to let this slip again. We're almost at the end of this month. Let's get on the phone today. Let's do this. What's in the way?
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but you're muted, Regina. Regina, you're muted if you want to give just another sentence or two.
Okay. This is so good because that's what Caprice did with me. She did exactly that. And she was reminding me, remember your concerns? You wanted to do this. Oh yeah. Okay, let's do this. So she just answered what Mike Caprice, my mentor, has taught me and actually told me 4 years ago, remember your concerns. That was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was great, Regina. It was a great question and great answer. What were you going to say, Britt?
Well, the one other piece, just to a high level of that, it's that when you're just going back and forth and you're not talking about the thing that's really calling to them, it becomes about them not returning your call or ghosting you. But if you bring their really big, juicy possibility that they really want in their life, it becomes saying no to that. People don't want to say no to that.
That was great. Wow. These questions are really great. Heather.
Hi, Brittany. I just have a question. You have some great concepts here, but I'm curious because, as you encounter more people, how do you keep track of, what have you found to be the best way to keep track of all the people that you say, can I contact you in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now? How do you keep track of all those different levels of follow-up?
Yeah, I put it right in my calendar. So after someone tells me 3 months, I just go 3 months and I pick a day and it says, you know, text Heather, who I talked to that one time on Zoom, right? I put some things that I know where to go back into my notes to see it. But I immediately put it into my Google Calendar, whatever calendar it is that I use.
Great question. Great question.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, there's one thing about that too that I just want to share. There is really helped me with my business and moving people from that yes, but to a yes in the long game. It's that, hey, when I reach back out to you 3 or 6 months from now, what should I say to you to remind you of where we left off and why you want, like, what you saw originally? And then I write it down word for word. And that's when after we've had, you know, the pleasantries of reconnecting, I say, so 3 months ago, you told me to tell you, if I'm not doing this by now, blah, 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 or whatever it is. And I reuse their words, but I ask them before they get off the phone with me, what should I bring back to you 6 months from now so that you remember where we left off?
And then Brittany, do you write down the notes of what you said in the calendar so that when their name comes up to call it on 6 months from now, the notes of what you're going to say is there? Or where do you keep the notes?
No, I just have notes that are chronological in time. So I just remember when I talk to them and I go back to when that was. Or I have a file in my computer that has the person's name. So I go back and look in the notes.
Okay, so you keep your notes somewhere on that person and you know how to find it because that would be important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're nearing our end. Does anybody else have any questions or any comments, any thoughts?
People were asking what those first 3 tips that you gave, and none of us were writing it down. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah.
They didn't know it was going to be that good and they forgot to write.
So at the end of my calls, I let people know, hey, I'm about to ask you a question that will really help me in serving you in what's next for us, whatever that is. So I'm going to ask, are you a no? And I let them know that a no is either no forever, a not now. Are you a full yes and you're ready to jump in and hire me or buy Juice Plus? Or are you a yes, but, which means that you're interested, there's something here for you, but just there's some stuff in the way, time, money, whatever it is. But I have them self-identify. That way I know where to take the conversation. And let them know, you know, it's really nice to hear, oh yeah, I'm a yes, but, like that's an okay category to be in, that I want this and there's something here for me, but there's something in the way.
Great. Getting lots of comments here. Anything else, Chris? Anything that you want to add? I'll turn mine off.
Okay. I did have some questions while you were talking, but I'm still getting an echo, right, Nikki?
Yeah, but if you can get right to the question, it won't be so bad.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to stop with, wow, I had no idea how brilliant you were, Brittany. Thanks.
I may or may not have learned from the best.
All right. So I'm going to put this back onto gallery view. I feel like we've got such an expert here that, is there anything else that anybody feels that they'd like to ask?
I just have to say, I wish I would have had everyone on my team on this, and I can't wait to play into the recording.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely be putting it on YouTube so you can find it there. It's also live streamed. And I agree. I think this is one of those, I know Heidi made a comment, we need a book phrase from Brittany of all the follow-up phrases that she used.
I do have a question, actually. For those who may have had team and no longer have a big, large organization, or they've lost a lot of customers because they haven't been as active and engaged, and may have that little bit of desperation, is there anything else that you might add to help them not have that desperation come across when they're doing their follow-up?
So Heidi, I just want to confirm what you're asking is the person doing the follow-up calling team that's no longer active, and they don't want to feel desperate? What's the exact question? I didn't, maybe Brittany
Yes,
understood. I didn't.
yes, for that. And if for, team that don't really have a team, for a team member that doesn't have team, but they did have lots of customers and they now don't because they haven't been as active. So they're, following up with potential or old customers that they did have, or people they had talked to. They could be in that place of, I've seen it, and I've been there myself, where you can be in that place of desperation. And how do you not convey that when you're actually talking to them, I guess? Is there anything else you might add?
Yeah, a couple things. One is, I really think whether it's a coach or a teammate or someone that you do have, talking through the desperation before you get on calls. Hey, I really need this person to hire me, and have the person ask you questions. Why? What are you afraid of? And really get to the root. Oh, I'm so afraid that if person says no to me, then I won't make the money I need to make this month. And then my kids won't get this. And then get really down to the fear and really acknowledge that this fear is something separate from this call. Like, hey, this is my thing about what I'm really afraid of in my life. That's one thing. And that takes work, right? You actually have to be willing to be in conversation around it. But it takes a lot of ownership to move the desperation. So I think being willing to do the work to take that on, whether that's talking to a friend, talking to a teammate, or even journaling it out. Why do I need this to happen? Oh, because da 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 da, and got it. And then can I actually relate to this call as something separate? That's where we get desperate, is when we're suddenly relating to this call with making the money we need to make for rent. It's a dangerous place to be in sales, right? So that would be my first thing. The other is, especially around people who don't have team and who've kind of had the experience of, oh my God, people left, I'm really struggling right now, is, I believe that when we're in positions of sales or enrolling people in anything, that we're basically asking them to trust something that they don't know a lot about yet, right? And we're the clearing for people. And what I mean by that is, if we're not willing to trust either, they're not going to be to either. So you really got to work on your own trust of, I don't know how this is going to go, and I trust that whether this person is a yes or no, it's going to be okay. Just like you're asking that person to trust that Juice Plus is going to be the thing for them. Being on your team is going to be the thing for them, right? So I kind of like to take it on as, wow, if I'm not willing to trust myself or this call to be what I need it to be, how could this person? So I kind of take it on like, oh, it's my responsibility to show up and trust here.
Okay.
Hey, I would just want to say,
Brilliant.
that's Heidi, that's a lot like whatever energy is missing is what you're not bringing. Well put, Brittany.
You're on mute.
I wished, as we were talking tonight, that this had been for the whole HEAT team. For those of you that are on another NMD's team, let them know that it is on the YouTube, posted places, because I just think this was such an incredibly valuable call. I really do. And the comments that were made in the chat, and it's not just because she's my daughter. I have so much respect for Brittany, and she's been such a great coach for Chris and I when we said, how would you do this? And what about this? And so she's done her work to get to the place that she's at. I have no idea if she even has rooms to coach any more people. I think she might be booked, but if you're interested, you could let me know and I could let her know that she does do individual coaching. And I don't know if she even has any spaces left. So if everybody would unmute their phone. By the way, we do have a 7 o'clock call tonight, Take Healthy Back, that I'm going to be doing the part of the presentation with Michelle and Debbie, who's not on the call tonight. So that's going to be fun. So anyway, if everybody would just unmute themselves and just 1 or 2 words that express what this call has been for you.
Brilliant insight.
This
Thank
has
you.
been, yes.
Invaluable.
It's
Love
so
Awesome.
invaluable. Yeah.
I can hardly wait to listen
Thank
to it
you
again.
so much, Brittany.
Amazing.
Thanks, Brittany.
Super invaluable. Thank you.
All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Excellent.
Well, there's actually just one
Good
more thing I want to put in. Just
One more thing.
this as an
Ooh,
offering is I love enrolling people in things. Like, I actually believe it's an essential skill to change the world, right? If you see something and you want to change something, you got to be able to enroll people in it. Which is why, I've got, was asked to be a chief registration officer, to be in charge of filling 10 programs in 10 different cities in the world. So if you have, I love talking about it. So if you ever have a question about, hey, this person said this, what would I do next, or anything, how do I handle this objection? You can find me on Facebook, or I can put my email. I love those questions. I find it so fun talking to people about how to get to that next place. So feel free to reach out, and you're all leaders in the world. So have fun out there. Get your no's, get your yes buts, and get your yeses.
I love that. It's enrolling in anything, whether it's enrolling in people and picking up garbage from the beach. It can be enrolling in anything. How do I have something happen that's important to me? How do I use my voice? Thanks so much, Britt. Good night, everybody.